So next up, we're hearing from Gousto about creating and scaling a brand loved by customers. I'm delighted to welcome the VP of Customer at Gousto, Anna Green, and Tim Healey, founder of Little Grey Cells. Take away.
Greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Tim Healey, and I'm curator of Little Grey Cells, which is the UK's premier senior marketer meetup. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about Gousto. And Gousto is one of the leading recipe box companies and also one of the fastest growing businesses in the UK. It's a simple but brilliant idea. Choose from one of over 100 online recipes each week, and Gousto will send a box with freshly prepared, pre-proportioned ingredients and recipe cards so you can cook these meals at home. Joining me today is Anna Green, VP of Customer at Gousto. And over the past 6 years, on her watch, she has delivered 10x growth for the business, establishing Gousto as a household name. Today, we'll be exploring brands in a technology-fueled world. Welcome, Anna.
Hello.
So yeah, that must have been a wild ride. Tell us a bit about your journey at Gousto.
Yeah, of course. I mean, so it's almost 6 years to the day since I joined at Gousto. We were very much in 2018 in that sort of start-up to scale-up mode. So it was a sort of 30 million turnover business, around 200 people working outside of Spalding, our operation, and then there was a sort of motley crew of 50 engineers, product designers, food developers that were working out of this tiny office in the back end of Acton. So, you know, it was chaotic, I guess is the word that springs to mind when I think about it, but you know, amazing, because I think what struck me straight away is, you know, here's a group of people that have come together because they really believe in the purpose and ambition of the business. They believe there is a better and more sustainable way and healthier way to get families cooking at home. So, you know, it was really like buzzing at the time and sort of energetic, and you just got a sense that this was going to go somewhere. And now we're delivering 2 million meals every week, so it's just like astonishing growth. But if you sort of zoom out, there's 1 billion meals cooked in the UK every week. 1 billion. So we're like just a fraction of the dinner time occasion. And then like if you look at e-com, digital sort of grocery shopping is only around 12% of like online or of overall grocery. So the market's massive and the opportunity is huge. So we always just think of this as like day one of a much bigger journey.
Wow, super impressive. Anyway, Gousto has been described as a data company that loves food. Could you explain to our audience what that means?
Yes, I mean, when I first heard it, I didn't get it either. So it's sort of helpful to orientate a little bit around the business. So we at Gousto invested really early on in technology. And really we use that technology to offer really personalized recommendations around people's weekly meals, but we also use it all the way through our supply chain. So if I like bring that to life, we have thousands of recipes in our database. So every week we're looking at like what people are buying, what their preferences are, what cuisines are trending, what ingredients they like, what they don't like, and then pulling together a recommendation that fits perfectly for their lifestyle. So customers now, around 2/3 of them are ordering from our Chosen For You recommendations engine. So in many ways, it's a bit like your Spotify's, your Netflix of the world, where we're using data a lot behind the scenes to personalize the experience. So I think that's one aspect that is easier to get your head around, but from a sort of behind the scenes perspective, it also means that we can order exactly the right portions of food that we need for customers. So, you know, one of the really sad facts is that there's around 20% food wasted in the supply chain of sort of traditional grocery. And so Gousto is offering a solution that gets to almost zero food waste. So the sustainability impact is massive. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a feel for that different aspect of our business. But I think of it as very much like the IQ and EQ. Like the IQ is the tech and the data, and the EQ is our focus on the customers, it's our brand, it's our passion for food, and you need both of those things to have a successful company.
Amazing. Could you give us 3 examples of your marketing that show the journey that you've been on at a brand and explain why they were so pivotal?
Sure. So I've actually got them. I'll share them up on screen. And the first is Joe Wicks. In case you didn't know, Joe's actually been a long-standing Gousto customer, even before my time. And he approached Gousto when I just started because he'd read an interview by Timo, who's our founder, and just said, I'd love what you guys are doing. I really believe in home cooking. I think it's one of the single biggest things that you can do to change your health. And I'd love to see if there's a way we can work together. And I think at that point, he'd just turned down a multi-million-pound deal to work with a supermarket on a healthy ready meal range because he fundamentally doesn't feel like that's the right thing to do. So he arrived, and obviously you don't know how much of this is a sell, but straight off the bat, he rocks up with folders of recipe cards. He's got this WhatsApp group with all his friends and family. It's the Gousto gang, and he's literally, I'm obsessed with Gousto. It's really a big part of my life. So anyway, long story short, we set about co-creating a partnership that would allow us to take recipes from his Lean In 15 range and make them available exclusively to our customers. We shaped a marketing plan that would allow us to leverage his huge social influence to introduce new people to Gousto. And I think for me, it's just genuinely one of the strongest examples of when you align with somebody with such a shared value and set values, just how powerful that can be in terms of brand storytelling and kind of getting new people to kind of reappraise your offer and getting people into try Gousto. So yeah, we have a lot to thank for Mr. Joe Wicks. He's an investor in the business, really believes in what we're doing. So yeah, I guess that's chapter 1 of the Gousto
cool.
journey.
Okay, and then can you tell us about Cookstarter?
Yes, okay, let me see if this works. Okay, so Cookstarter. So this was a campaign that we launched in the midst of lockdown. We had a lot of restaurants contacting us, asking how could they potentially offer a direct-to-consumer service because they were forced to close their restaurants. And it was just deeply, deeply sad at the time to see this incredible foodie scene within Britain just kind of really sort of breaking at the seams. So we came up with this idea, Cookstarter, where we would put it to the public vote for the best of UK's independent restaurants, and we would select 5, and we would offer them a £10,000 grant, and then we would make their recipes available on our platform. So really simple idea, and just really sort of taking that moment in time to kind of help out. But we had 15,000 entries, which was just extraordinary, and it was incredibly hard to sort of pick the shortlist. But I think for me, why I love this as an example is I just think it's a really good demonstration of brand behaviours. I think it's really important to remember that your brand's kind of not just what you say it is, but the way that you act and the things that you do.
Amazing. And your outdoor adverts.
Yes, I mean, so this is the next example. It's actually just one out-of-home ad that came from our Give It Some Gousto campaign. But the reason that I'm sharing it is I think this really marks quite a pivotal point in our brand. We spent the first few years of my time at Gousto really just building the category and getting people to understand what this recipe box thing was. And I think this campaign, Who Says Tuesdays Can't Taste Like Saturdays, just one of many lines, really just showed a tipping point where we weren't just explaining what we were doing, but we were actually showcasing, I guess, the benefits of mealtime inspiration and really sort of driving the nation to get involved and give it some gusto.
And what do you think, at what point did you decide to do the outdoor campaign?
So, I mean, quite early when they sort of brought me in, there was a recognition that we needed to start building into brand, but didn't really know what that looked like. And I think for us, outdoor advertising really sort of, it is a great fame-driving media format. It really gets you in the context when people are thinking about what they're going to cook for dinner. So yeah, it's a really kind of key part of our marketing strategy, and I think it just, it's food, and actually it's a very visual thing. So being able to showcase your offer in this way is really impactful.
Just out of interest, did you find it easy to sell the idea in, or was there any pushback from up top?
I think generally, if I track back over my career, I think you always have quite a difficult role as the brand person in the room to kind of sell the vision of where you want to get to. But I would say that Gousto is a very high trust, it's high challenge but high support kind of culture. And I think as a team, we've always kind of proven the value of what we can deliver. So I think that just then builds confidence. So I think it's really about starting small, demonstrating the value, and then building up from there.
Excellent. Can we see the latest TV ad?
Yes, of course. I don't know if I'm in control of this or if someone over there needs to show it.
Press again. Here we go. That worked.
Sebastian, what about the Viscount? Sebastian, there's something I've been meaning to say to you.
Lie to you.
And that thing is... haddock. They're cooking haddock.
Good Lord, it's exquisite. Sweet potato with cumin. I have dreamed, but never dared.
I might have known. Quinoa.
I love quinoa.
I love quinoa too.
Steal the show with 250 recipes every month from $2.99 a meal. Gousto.
I mean, that's Ace. Which agency did you work with to make the ad?
Mother. So we've been working with Mother for a few years now, and really helping us to kind of build on this brand personality and point of view. And I guess the idea here is really simple. It's gone are the days where people are asking what's for dinner. It's as much what's on telly tonight. And I think we just wanted to create something that really put dinner back on as kind of the headline attraction of the evening's occasion. So
With a healthy dose of Bridgerton.
Indeed.
Great. A question I love to ask successful marketers is this. For the benefit of our audience, could you tell us about a time when you got it wrong?
Oh gosh, I've got so many examples, which I shouldn't confess to, but I think probably the biggest public clangor, if that's the right way to phrase it, was a campaign that we again launched in lockdown called Table for 1 Million. And it was a really nice idea. And the idea was simple. We were going to invite all our customers and Gousto fans to come together, and we would host a night with Nick Grimshaw and Paloma Faith. We provide the food, the entertainment, and everyone could kind of dial in from their homes and just get a little bit of that entertainment back that I think we're all missing in the depths of lockdown. So really well orchestrated campaign, great PR. We had thousands of customers signed up, and it came to the Friday night of the event, and I had made my husband plug the laptop into the big screen telly, and this was a thing, we had cocktails at the ready, and it was going to be amazing. And the countdown started, and it hit 7 o'clock when the event was due to start, and nothing happened. Nothing. It was so painful. And at this point, you've got your WhatsApps blowing up, our social feeds going crazy. Everyone's like, what's happening? And I finally sort of discovered that there was a problem with Grimmy's Wi-Fi, and that they couldn't connect it. And so it was sort of glitching in and out. I think there was a point where we were just all watching Paloma Faith eat cod mornay. It was just horrendous. And meanwhile, I'm just dying inside because this is the most public embarrassment I've ever experienced in my life. But look, it's not the end of the world. And I think that's the thing that you learn. So what we did is we put out a cheeky kind of post on social media we actually just got this outpouring of like, well done you for trying to do something different. And then the crazy thing is, when we did the campaign wrap up, like, we had the highest brand awareness and brand love scores that we'd had ever. So it actually had like the desired effect on the brand. So I think it's just a really good reminder that, you know, these things aren't as big a deal as they are in your head. And I think if you aren't pushing the creativity of what's possible, then, you know, you're probably in the wrong industry.
Cool. We got one more question before we have a couple of questions from the audience. And Scott Galloway famously stated recently that brands are dead, advertising is dead, and that all you need is a great product. What's your take on that?
I guess as the person that spent the last 6 years building a brand and doing this thing, I'm going to hold back from the rant. So I've read a lot about his views on this, and I actually think there's some stuff I can agree with. So I'll start there before I talk about the other stuff. So the stuff I can agree with is, I do think that gone are the days where you can create like a substandard product, like a mediocre product, and just have great advertising and win. I just think that with the way that social has gone and the fact that there's such transparency around like people's product experience, I don't think you can dress up a product for what it's not. I also recognize that some of, you know, the world's greatest businesses, Google, Amazon, Netflix, they're very product-centric in the way they approach things. So they invest more in product and innovation than they do in advertising and marketing. And so they make sure that they've got something that's really unique in the market. And I do think that there's been a tip in the balance of focus that I can definitely I can observe and I can agree with. But I think all of that said, is advertising dead? I don't think so. I mean, if you list those same brands, they're the biggest advertisers in the world, and they're the strongest brands in the world. Like, I don't think that, you know, you can drive consumer demand and kind of get people to buy into what you're offering without a brand. So I'm a big believer that the businesses that will succeed are the ones that are able to match their product and brand strategy, because a great brand story is the thing that can really like give you a North Star for your business.
I mean, speaking personally, and I'm sure you're ahead of me on this, I'm seeing a massive return to brand as opposed to performance marketing. It just seems to be the talk of the town at the moment, as more and more brands are realizing that without investing in their brand, you know, they will catch a cough if all they do is performance marketing. And furthermore, I think if you are only doing performance marketing and your FT gives you a budget for that every year, it will inevitably decrease in effectiveness unless you're doing the brand thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the example that springs to mind is Airbnb, because I think before they had a really clearly defined brand and positioning, like it was a couch surfing website. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Like, I think it was the brand that elevated the opportunity space and got the whole business to reorientate around something that a much more mainstream group of customers could buy into it. And then they built the product to match to that. And then they've also, you know, only over the last 3 years started to move more into brand advertising. And they've shown that, you know, through that approach, they've been able to grow their business exponentially. So I think there's a very kind of blueprint, tech-led business that actually has done brand and advertising brilliantly well. So I think there's loads of case studies of that.
I concur. All right, we've got time for one or two quick questions from the floor. Does anyone have a question for Anna? Okay, if not, I shall ask you another. Okay, for our very last question. We've heard about Gousto being very product and tech-led. How have you managed to embed brand and creativity at Gousto?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things here. Like, I think ultimately, you know, if people are seeing your brand team as the team that do advertising, I think you have a problem. So I would start there and really think about how you embed brand thinking and creativity across the organization. I mean, I've got a couple of folks from the creative team here today, and I'm just such a strong believer in the power of creative thinking to problem solve, to think laterally around opportunities. So, we work now in a much more cross-functional way, and I think when we get creative folks working with product designers and engineers, with food developers, that's when we come up with the best ideas. That's when we come up with the Joe Wicks type activity, because it does require all of those skill sets.
Amazing. Well, Anna Green, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you all about your incredible ride at Gousto. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna and Tim.